Hey everybody, hope you're well, and it's James here for the Part-Time Entrepreneur and Crypto Rookies, and today we're going to have a look at a really interesting ICO called W12. Now this particular ICO potentially could change how we buy ICOs forever. I'm feeling To all you hardcore crypto ICO investors, you know that this marketplace for the last 18 months has been absolutely bonkers. Now what we've seen is last year there was 5 billion invested into ICOs. This year, just in the first half, 8 billion. We know that there is an absolute feeding frenzy for people trying to get into the ICOs and trying to make that easy money. Now unfortunately that creates two huge problems. The first problem is what I want to call easy money. Where people think that they can make this easy money, scams appear, and we've seen plenty of them. The first one obviously in BitConnect, and the second in Centra, and there's a whole bunch of other projects I could list. Now on the other side there's the second problem, and now everybody thinks that they can run an ICO. You've got some people run it from their bedroom. These projects will never take off. They'll never get any further than raising the funds, and we're seeing this on a regular basis. And it's really bad because it actually creates a bad rep for those bigger companies that are really doing some great things. And those dynamics have been driven by the fact that we've gone from 7 or 8 quality ICOs, so back in the day like AntShares and Ethereum and all the rest of it launching, to just 70 or 80 where they're just copying each other and none of them are really adding value, and in some cases they don't even need blockchain to facilitate what they're trying to do. It's just a way of gaining some funds. However, W12 have come up with a solution to these problems. So what they're going to do is on their platform is actually they're going to hold the funds for the projects. Is what I want to call it an escrow, but it's within the smart contracts. And the community will need to decide if the project has hit milestones. So if a project says we're going to do X, Y, and Z, then they need to do X, Y, and Z to release the funds. And then the community will decide if they've done it or not. Now, if they decide that they haven't done it, then the community will get refunded, because obviously that money is held in escrow, and it can go one of two ways. It'll either go to the project to continue and deliver their plan, or it will go back to the investors. This way there's more protection for investors, and again that will bring people in. And the thing is, this will change the marketplace massively in terms of the ICO space. But the other thing is I think W12 have realised that there is a wider application of this technology, not just in the ICO market, but further and outside of this marketplace. And what they see is this will be to bridge crypto and smart contracts into the real world. So now we're going to talk about some of the problems in a little bit more detail. So the first thing, only 3.8% of ICOs make it all the way, which is really quite incredible when you think about it, because I think the sense is that more are doing well than what we really think. The other thing is a lot of scams and failing ICOs. Now we know this already. So if we look at some of these numbers, you can see obviously 81% scam, 6% have failed completely, 5% have gone dead. Now I wouldn't discount this 5% in the sense that there's a lot of good ICOs out there, because I work with a lot of ICOs that are in that transition period of finishing their ICO and trying to get on the exchange. And I think people, or the exchanges, have got a lot more fussy, and they're not just accepting anybody. You need a really, a live product, you need a good story to be able to get onto their platform, or if you're Binance, just a shed load of cash. So the other thing is that 81% of ICOs are failing to even get on an exchange. And we've talked about this, working with a couple of projects. I'm hearing crazy numbers like, if you want to get on Binance, it's anywhere between I think 6 and 12 million. It's just crazy. And then others are completely free, but then they don't have the volume and liquidity, and hats off to Binance, it is one of the better exchanges. So it's creating some massive problems out there. And the other thing is, because of the failed ICOs, it's looking to have cost the investors of roughly around $4 billion, which is just absolutely crazy. So what is the solution? So W12 are going to put milestone-based contracts in place, and this is going to really facilitate that only if an ICO says what it's going to do and delivers, they get the money. W12 will provide a utility and security token sales platform. So this is where you can interact with a platform and you'll be able to buy their tokens and buy into ICOs, and you'll have that peace of mind that when you're investing that you have some form of security. They also have voting networks, and one of the voting networks that they pull out is the Oracle network, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but there's a lot of ICOs using that at the moment. One I will pull out is Fans Unite for betting, so obviously that's quite critical. And Oracle seems to be very popular in terms of this sort of deciding if it's true or false as such. If it all goes Pete Tong, you can get a refund. So if the ICO fails or it's a scam, you can get your money back because all the money's held in sort of escrow and the smart contracts, and it ain't going anywhere. So it's held on the platform, and if they don't do what they say they're going to do, you get that refund, which is really, really cool. And gives people that peace of mind and actually will attract more people to investing in sort of the cryptocurrency marketplace. We can see some predictions here by W12. Now I've got to say that I do agree that the ICO process will just kill off crowdfunding and also IPOs pretty much in the long term, because it's just a more efficient process. However, not a lot of people will come in unless there is some form of protection, and I think once protection's in place, a lot more money will come in. So how does the whole process work? So first of all, an ICO will create a roadmap, and they will set the percentage of funds required at each stage, and they will load that onto the W12 system. Then the project will release tokens to the W12 platform. So in this scenario, you don't, like, a project can work with W12 and they don't have to put all of their tokens, they can just use part tokens, so maybe even like a trial of such, so that will actually draw some people in to use the platform. So the W12 blockchain will issue secure tokens, so if 100,000 tokens come in, then they can pay out 100,000 tokens to anyone who invests. So the W12 users can now buy the ICO projects with these tokens on the platform, and all these tokens are backed by the buyer's funds. So all the funds are locked into these smart contracts, and the funds are only released to the projects when they have reached those milestones, and it has been agreed that those milestones have been hit as well. So after purchasing the tokens by the W12 token exchanger, you can also sell them on listed exchanges as well. So the big USP for W12 is that you will receive a refund if your project fails to hit milestones or the token price drops lower than the ICO level. Now, because of this system that they've put in place, they're saying that obviously there's going to be times when you lose money, you invest in projects and they fail, therefore you lose that money. Because you're not losing that money and you're able to invest it in other projects, they're saying that they can be 87 times more profitable with your investing through their platform.
We've interrupted this program to bring you some important information. If your ICO is deemed to be a scam, then you will get a refund, and you'll be as happy as France winning the World Cup. England, it ain't coming home.
So how does the voting work? There's 3 types, and the project gets to pick which one that they want to use. So the first one is individuals. So everybody that's invested will have an opportunity to decide have they hit the milestones or not. So it's a bit like going to the polls and voting for Labour or Conservatives or whatever. So the next one is oracles. Now oracles is quite a popular choice that I'm seeing to define a truth or a false. So for me, it's quite a good option. This works dead simple. There are 12 oracles and they will all input into the process. So it's a little bit like Parliament. So we're trusting these particular well-established people to make these decisions. Now, if there is any sort of discrepancy between them, what they do is they bring in new jurors which are on the sideline as such, and they become new oracles, and then they repeat the process, and then they'll get a new decision. Now this is dead simple. It just means there must be 51% of the group that agree that the milestones have been hit. Now the only different thing here is that if you're a bigger token holder, then your weighted percentage is worth more. So if you hold 1 million tokens, your percentage is going to be worth more than if you've invested like for 1,000 tokens or something like that. So in terms of the tokenomics, once you have the W12 token, you can use that to buy any ICO project on the platform. And also it can be used for platform services, which I think is pretty standard within that ecosystem. But the real sort of gem here will be that the token is used for storage of funds. So the more people that get into this project and ICOs start using it, and obviously we start buying into it, that storage of funds will increase. There's only a limited amount of tokens, hence the price will increase. So here's their team, and what we're going to do is we're going to quickly have a look at their LinkedIn profile. So first of all, we'll start with the big dog, which is Oleg. If we look at Oleg, he's obviously the co-founder of W12, entrepreneur. If we look down his profile, you can see all the stuff for W12. He was the CEO and founder of Shine, was there nearly 7 years. So obviously a massive business, and then obviously that transition into W12, you can see that change over there. Head of legal liability company there, so that's probably some good experience. Overall, so here we can see he's had some consulting and tax and business advisory sort of experience here as well. So overall, obviously he's got a wealth of experience in sort of leading a company, and that's what this project needs, is a really strong leader, and I think we seem to have this in Oleg. The next guy is Andre, so let's have a look at his profile. He looks like a young whippersnapper, so which is good to see. ICO evangelist, so he's obviously getting on it. Obviously CEO and founder, so he's been here for a year, so it sounds like he probably was at the front of these things. He's also been the founder of several other companies. Now I've had a look at some of these. One of them was Dom365. It's not a dominatrix site, I can promise you that. It's more like Yellow Pages for Russia. So you know, the site is still up and running, so there's still a lot of his businesses that are up and running, so it shows that he's got a bit of a successful track record here. But again, looks like you know, he's young, he's hungry, and he's obviously very, very creative and entrepreneurial, shown by the businesses that he's run before and the fact that they're still all running. Then we got Mikey, the CTO, so we'll have a quick look at his profile. So here's Michael. He's obviously the CTO. Now he's been there again 9 months, same time as Oleg, and we can see here he's got some different various experience here. The one that sticks out for me is Navagine. Now I hope I pronounced that right. I'd never heard of these guys, but actually I started having a look online, and these guys are quite big into sort of navigation and all the rest of it. I tell you what, let's have a look at the website. So this is Navagine. He's obviously still here. They're also a global provider of integrated positioning technologies that enables advanced wayfinding and tracking solutions. So this is a little bit like what you get on your Google Maps type thing. So some very sophisticated stuff. So again, I think he's got some decent experience that he can bring to the table here, running and being part of such huge businesses. Now we'll go on to the advisors. And this is the interesting ones. First of all, we'll go to Anders' profile. So here's Anders' profile, top 10 blockchain advisor. I think he's about number 5 now. And again, there's been some kerfuffle around some of the big blockchain advisors. I think, who is it? I think David Drake's been called out quite recently, but I know a few projects that have worked with him, and he just sort of took the money and legged it pretty much. So, you know, it's good to see that they've got some real quality on board here. Obviously founder of Allcoin, and you know, if we look down, he's got loads of experience in terms of advising for different projects, so it's good to see that they've got this type of guy on board. So the guy that really got my interest was this Chintan, the former vice president of Goldman Sachs. Now if I know anything about Goldman Sachs, they do not like to lose. They are winners. It's inherent. They recruit these type of people, someone to really drive this forward. Now he's been part of several projects here. If we look down, Next Blockchain, loads of different exchanges, you know, Park Res, again, that's a project that we've started working with recently, all about an all-in-one parking solution. Another one, AirPods, which I think is quite funky as well. So again, working on a lot of the same projects, which is quite good to see. And again, ICO Advisor, one of the first projects he did was Zcash, and that was after coming out of Goldman Sachs. So I think, as well as being obviously in the space, being a bit of a winner, working for Goldman Sachs, knowing his stuff in the financial element, he's also picked some big winners there as well. So I think this, you know, it's very good to have him on board. He is definitely an advisor that sticks out for me. So they've got some real strong people in that front line, and I'm sure they'll bring a whole bunch of other guys on as well. But overall, I'm fairly impressed with the team. They seem to have quite a bit of experience from, I would say, sort of the blue chip management side. Obviously they've got that entrepreneurial startup business side, and then they've obviously brought in the blockchain bad boys. to obviously help them go forward there as well. So again, really good to see such a strong team. So in terms of the roadmap, I just wanted to pick out some really key points, because actually they're trying to do a lot in each quarter, but some of it is replicated in terms of marketing and bits and pieces. So I'm just going to pull out the key elements for you. So Q3 2008, the big things I pulled out here will be the testing and auditing of the blockchain, also the beta version launch. Again, they're going to be busy with marketing and conferences, so this is what you want them to be doing. They really want them to be pushing and getting the presence out there. In terms of Q4 2018, the big one was obviously listing on exchanges. Most people, that's the biggest question that people ask, is when is it getting on exchange, when Moon, and all the rest of it. And then they're obviously going to be adding projects on. They'll have the app development, which is going on, and then the full protocol launch as well. Then we go into Q1 2019. Obviously that'll be the release of the app on Android and iOS. Then they're implementing their scoring system, and then some partnerships with some exchanges as well. So I can only assume that would be ICOs go on their website, and then they will go direct to key exchanges, so they'll do like an all-in-one process there. And then Q4 2019 was really the next one I picked out, where is they will be doing the cross-chain protocol as well, so that interoperability as well. So in terms of the split of the tokens, you can see 60% is going to the population, which is great. So that's for token sale. I like to see that. I've been seeing too many projects where it's 40-60, so 40 to the community and 60 for the team. Don't like to see that. I like to see this sort of split. We see airdrops, bounty, integration with partners and things, so that's all good. Some long-term investor stuff. Reserve fund, again, you never know when you're going to need that, and especially with a project like this, it could kick off and they need to scale up really quickly, and team and advise about 15%, which is about how I like it. And overall, I like the split of all the tokens here. One W12 token will be worth 0.0035 of an ETH. They'll be accepting Bitcoin, Litecoin and Ethereum. The pre-sale will end on the 20th of July, so you don't have long, and the main sale will go from the 27th of July to the 27th of September. Pre-sale cap is 5,000 ETH, crowd sale 25,000 ETH, and total supply will be around 400 million. So just from the crowd sale here, they're trying to raise about 11.5 million, which isn't crazy numbers, which I like. I don't like to see these projects trying to get like 80, 90 million. They just don't need that sort of money to do these type of projects. We're asking for a reasonable amount of money, and I think they'll raise it as well. So the other thing that stuck out for me is this premium expert account. So obviously if you're in early and you participate in their pre-sale, which is happening now, you will get this account free for 2 years. Now if you review the ICOs, you're going to get ICO tokens for it, and also you'll get 50% of the commissions from the ICOs. So that is a pretty decent deal for getting in early. So these guys have already got some achievements behind them. The first one is they were first place at the World Blockchain Forum in New York. They got to the finals of the ICO race in Switzerland. Now I work with a lot of people in Switzerland. We're in London next week. It's a very hot spot for ICOs at this moment in time, and also big investors too. They also have a minimum viable product. You can check it out. I'll leave the link in the description. And they also have an advisor who's former VP of Goldman Sachs as well. So they have a heavyweight experience in the financial sector as well. So some massive achievements that they've already done so far. So in terms of cons, I couldn't find too many at this moment in time. The only thing that sort of stuck out was the refunds for the projects if it goes lower than the ICO price. Many occasions I've bought into some ICOs and it has gone below the ICO price. However, then it's gone like 46-fold. Because the market's gone crazy or whatever it is. So sometimes the market will dictate the price rather than the quality of the ICO, unfortunately, and that might open it up to a bit of whale manipulation if they want to get their money back and get into another project, is what I see. Maybe there's some triggers or something in place to stop that, but obviously reading what I've read so far, I couldn't sort of fathom out what was the case there. Now the other thing is the scammer ICOs are actually going to avoid using the service. So if you're a scammer, you're not going to use this service because you're going to get caught out very, very quickly. So therefore, it sort of legitimizes W12 in the sense if your ICO is on W12, you've got that credibility that your money is safe, and that actually if it goes wrong that you'll get it back. So I pulled it out as a bit of a con, but actually it's probably a bit more of a pro. So there's quite a few pros, and the first one is they're building on other blockchains. So they're also going to create this interoperability with other blockchains such as Cardano, for instance. There'll be protection for investors, so that is key. I have a lot of friends sitting on the sideline wanting to get into cryptocurrency, seeing me do quite well out of it, and wanting to get into the space, but there's, they're just a little unsure because it is one of these, in a sense, it's a bit cowboys and Indians at the moment, and we need it to be sort of like safe streets with coppers on the corners, if that makes sense. So wherever you walk down the street, you're being looked after. And unfortunately, we don't have that at the moment. And W12 could be that, I think, and it will give people that confidence to invest. They've got a strong team and also a strong advisory team as well, which is always great to see. Where there's a strong team, it has a really strong chance of winning. There's also quite a few key benefits for those early investors. So again, if you're looking at this particular project, getting in early will also benefit you very, very well. Now, this has the potential to be huge. And the reason for this is all the different things that we've talked about, but this protection for investors. Now, while we wait for the SEC to sort their stuff out and all the rest of it, there is nothing else. This is it. W12 is the only project I've seen that is offering this at this moment in time. So there's no competition at all. So we went from IPOs to ICOs, and then we might be moving to ICOs with W12. So overall, I really do like this project. I think it's got a lot of potential, and it's got lots of positive signs at the moment. As always, guys, I really do appreciate you taking the time out to watch my videos. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I also have some new social media, so I have a new Twitter account, which will be my main one going forward, and I also have a new website, which is www.icodiscountclub.com. Think about ICO Bench meets loads of giveaways, freebies, and a whole bunch of the discounts as well. So please check it out. And as always, guys, thanks very much, and I'll see you on the next video. I'm feeling